In principle, I agree with the President, who desires to use military force beyond a short-term contingency, requests an AUMF from the Congress. The current AUMFs 2001 and 2, which are obviously still in use, are in their design good documents, in that it is clear why military force is being authorized and provides latitude for the President to determine how to use that force. Indeed, an argument can be made that the President's current AUMF request is unnecessary, in that the previous AUMFs provide sufficient authorization for the use of force against ISIS. Nonetheless, I do believe it is better public policy for a new AUMF based on the reality that ISIS is a different threat in terms of its scale, mode of operation, location, and near-term intent. As to the President's current AUMF request, I would like to make a few observations. The strategy. Strategy is how the military force is used. This is the President's lane, along with his senior military commanders. As much as I and some members of Congress are critical of the administration for not having a comprehensive strategy to defeat radical Islam, nor an adequate strategy to defeat ISIS, the AUMF is not the appropriate document for that expression. A President needs maximum flexibility to adapt to the enemy and the battlefield environment, which at times may demand a change in strategy. The enemy. The enemy is ISIS, and the proposed AUMF describes it as ISIS and associates. ISIS has claimed contractual agreements and a written plan approved by ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi to form satellites in Libya, Egyptian Sinai, Afghanistan, and also Algeria, Saudi Arabia, and Yemen. Some of these affiliations are likely aspirational, to be sure, but ISIS is exporting military capability to make affiliates in Sinai and Libya stronger. All that said, defeating ISIS does not mean that U.S. forces are needed to defeat ISIS satellites. The geography. Core ISIS is principally located in Iraq and Syria, but it covets territory in a broader region including Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, and lands that are part of historic caliphates like the Caucasus. As such, there should be no geographical limitation in the AUMF. The time constraint. It makes no sense to me to tell our allies and the enemy that we are uncertain of this commitment of force by our unwillingness to extend it beyond 3 years. Congress has the authority to provide continuous assessments through its oversight committees, which is far more appropriate than a 3-year sunset. The ground force constraint. ISIS cannot be defeated in Iraq and Syria without a decisive ground force victory. There is no ground force in Syria, and no one knows if the Iraq ground force can defeat ISIS. Why put limits on the use of a ground force when it's widely recognized as the only means to defeat ISIS? Indeed, it may be necessary for a coalition ground force, with the United States likely in the lead, to ultimately defeat ISIS. The ground force constraint should be removed from the AUMF if the true goal is to defeat ISIS. In conclusion, the proposed AUMF is not an acceptable document. The time and ground force constraint must be removed. This President, as well as the next President, deserve latitude in the use of military force. Additionally, how to use the military force or strategy is not an appropriate topic for this document, as I previously stated, but it is essential for the Congress to provide oversight and in so doing understand the feasibility of the strategy actually working. I believe it is a matter of conscience to only support an AUMF if there is confidence that the strategy our troops execute will indeed succeed in defeating ISIS.